Hello, hi everyone. My name is Deepak Bansal and welcome to AreaZero Browse section. So today we're going to discuss one of the NVIDIA SN5600D switch. Um, and for this one, we should not look it like a normal data center switch because the real story is just not 65 ports of 800 gig capacity, right? The real story is why NVIDIA is becoming stronger in AI Ethernet fabric compared to traditional vendors like Cisco, Arista, Juniper, or other. Let's break this switch, right? So the first section is the port capacity, bandwidth, and throughput. This is 2RU switch, right? You can see it's a 2RU switch, for, right, with 64 QO SFP port supporting under 800 gig capacity, right? Each front port can run 800 gig, and with breakout the platform can support 400, 200, 150, 25, and 10 gig capacity, right? So it has lot of flexibility of breakouts. So from a pure fabric design point of view, this is high radix 800 gig spine or super spine switch. Now, in a traditional data center network, you usually think in terms of leaf and spine bandwidth over subscription, ECMP paths, and port density. But in AI fabrics, the problem is different. The network is not just carrying normal east-west application traffic, right? It is carrying GPU to GPU traffic, or storage traffic, or collective communication and high throughput, which is called as RoCE flows, RDMA over converged Ethernet. That means micro microburst congestions and packet loss and tail latency become much more dangerous. Now, a small amount of packet loss can hurt GPU job completion time. So the value of 50 so the value of this switch is not just it provides 800 gig port capacity of 64 port. No, it the value it provide a lossless communication from GPU to the GPU. Now, how the NVIDIA is building this one? The NVIDIA is building the GPU and the NIC and the DPU. So the DPU and the optics and the cable, which matters a lot in this AI infrastructure code. So the major difference compared to the traditional vendors, Cisco and Arista, are excellent network. See, I'm not just telling you, okay, Cisco and Arista are not doing good. Yes, they are of course doing good, but how NVIDIA differentiate, how NVIDIA has picked up in the data center networking space because of its lossless network, and mainly this kind of a switches, right? Flexible high performance configuration which provides 160 MB packet buffer. now, now that's changed the design priority now. So for NVIDIA, the network is part of the GPU training system. So in a traditional network, we think switches are different than the compute, but in NVIDIA ecosystem, the switches are part of the training system. So the switch is designed to work closely with ConnectX adapter, Bluefield DPUs, LinkX cable, SpectrumX Ethernet design. This is not separate from compute in any way. This is where NVIDIA has a strong technical advantage in AI fabric. Now, this SN5600D supports high performance layer 2 and layer 3 forwarding. Of course, it supports VXLAN based fabric, telemetry, tunneling, programmability, and open networking options like NVIDIA Cumulus, and it also supports Sonic, right? It also supports Sonic. But the deeper point here is how it handles the congestion control and predictable performance. In AI cluster, as I mentioned, you don't really need forwarding. You need predictable bandwidth, you need low latency, you need lossless or near lossless RoCE behavior, or RDMA over converged Ethernet behavior. You need advanced protocols like ECN, PFC, adaptive routing behavior, buffer. You need a visibility of queue visibility, telemetry. Now, this is where this switch is different from traditional vendors. But NVIDIA, again, the NVIDIA advantage is just not, see, these features like ECN, PFC design, visibility, queue visibility, telemetry, yes, traditional vendors provide, but NVIDIA advantage is that the switch is part of the same ecosystem as their GPUs and NIC. Now that make validation easier, right? And that's why major vendors or major companies preferred NVIDIA over the other switches, right? um, Now, other point is Cisco has NXOS and ACI, Arista has EOS and CloudVision. NVIDIA give you a more open Ethernet model, right? With Cumulus and ONIE or Sonic, it give you a open networking option. So you're not tied with any vendor, um, vendor release or something, right? You're not just tied with that. Now, if the requirement is traditional like enterprise data center with standard normal VXLAN and operational familiarity, I will recommend you choose Cisco or Arista, maybe is their choice. But if the requirement is GPU scale Ethernet, RoCE performance, or AI workload predictability, then I will highly recommend you go with NVIDIA ecosystem. Now, it is not just trying to beat Cisco or Arista in every network. It's trying to solve a more specific problem that the traditional vendor lose that market. Now, how do you build Ethernet for AI workloads where the network must behave like part of the compute system? NVIDIA has a strong technical story, right? So, in simple terms, the SN5600D switch is a, I guess it has a 800 gig port capacity Spectrum-4 switch built for AI Ethernet fabrics, high performance spine, super spine rolls, and NVIDIA accelerated data center design. But the main is it is part of the NVIDIA ecosystem of GPU networks. Yeah, network is not different from the GPU. I hope really you understand this, and thank you so much for joining again.